Hey guys, Aaron Schober and Josh Lucas here at Sword Carolina. We are preparing for our upcoming Study in Steel 2016, and this video is going to be on the paired technique competition. So the paired technique competition that we're doing is not one technique that you all are doing and you have to do it, like, see who can do it the best. We're actually going to give you a scenario. We'll put it on later on in this video. We're going to give you a scenario that you have to come up with proper responses to. Someone is attacking you in this way, and you actually have to come up with 3 proper responses to that same attack. You can use whatever source, whatever manuscripts that you guys study. So here we do the German sources or the Lichtner. You can do any German sources, you can do Italian, you can do anything from your background, but it's going to be with the same starting attack. This tournament will run a bit differently than the others because you will actually be judging yourselves. So the actual competitors in the tournament will be judging each other. They won't be judging themselves personally, but they will be scoring their other competitors. So it's judged amongst your peers. We do have a number of qualifications that you're going to use to judge each other. So you're going to have the historicity of the techniques that you're using. So if I'm fighting Josh and I start doing all kinds of, lightsaber type moves that look really cool, or stuff that you wouldn't see in a manuscript, it would not score as highly as if I came through and actually used actual techniques. Even if they're my interpretations, even if my interpretation is different than yours, I'm using techniques to the best of my ability. We're also going to be judged on the logic of the action, right? So if I'm not going to rely on my opponent being stupid to win, right? So if I do an action and then Josh does a completely boneheaded move, which leaves him completely exposed and it's easy for me to kill him, this is not going to be it shouldn't be judged as highly as if both fencers are fencing well, but one is still able to find a small advantage and capitalize on it and win at the end of it. We'll also be judged on the realism of it, like how does it look when you perform it? So if Josh and I are moving very jerky and awkward, and just not naturally, it will not be scored as well as if we got into a much more fluid, realistic type of action. Now, how you perform is up to you and your partner. So if you want to go really super fast and with hard contact and everything, or if you'd rather keep it smooth and flowing very nicely and controlled, that is up to you and your partner. But it does have to have that realistic aspect to it. The 4th judging criteria is variety or creativity. So that's not to say that I'm inventing moves to do, but I do want to have a good variety of different types of actions. So instead of blocking his attack with a cut each time or very similar cuts, I would rather do something unique each time. It shows that I have a broader understanding of the art, whatever art you're studying, a more well-rounded fencer.
Aaron had mentioned the speed at which you perform the actions. We are going to have a basic safety equipment requirement that is going to be gloves and mask. Now, if you and your partner would like to use more equipment than that is not going to be a negative or judged poorly. It's not going to be looked bad upon. So you can use as much safety equipment as you'd like, but we're going to require that you use gloves and masks. When you come to display your responses or your techniques, the way that you'll do it is you will actually run through the technique. You will then stop and explain from your source using technical terms what each part of the response was, what each part of the technique was. Try and be, one criteria would be how accurately you describe this. So if it's, I move my sword here, as opposed to I move to such and such guard, the guard would be a better explanation using the technical terms. And then you'll run through it again at the end to kind of cap it off. Once again, trying to create that control and style points that your peers will judge you upon. The last part of the format of how your technique is actually going to operate is the person who's going to win the technique, the scenario, is going to have to win within 3 moves. So we don't want this exchange to go on for ages. We want the person to win within 3 moves. The other person, the person initiating the attack, they will be able to respond. So they don't have to do the single attack and then stand there while the other person stabs them, cuts them, whatever. They will be able to move and mirror the winner, but the winner has 3 moves in which to win the technique, win the scenario. So, big question, what is the actual scenario? What are you guys going to have to figure out and study up on? We try to figure out something that's going to be basically uniform across all the manuscripts. So it's going to be very simplistic. Now, where you go with it is up to you. The person who is initiating the attack, starting the attack, they're going to start in a low guard. We study German, this would be called plow. We're not going to be picky about where the point is on this. We're not judging your style or your technique. We're trying to make sure that everyone starts from the same position, if that makes sense. So they're going to be starting with a low guard and doing a thrust from below, an Unterstick. It can be a thrust straight out into long point. They can do a winding thrust up into ox, on either side. But what you'll have to do is you'll have to pick how you're going to do that thrust and stick with it throughout your 3 techniques. So I can't do one to where I thrust in a long point and then do a winding thrust and change it up like that. You'll have to start from the same position, all 3 examples. So the attacker will be doing a Unterstick from a low guard. The defender will be starting with a guard that we call Vomtag. It's going to be at the shoulder. So once again, where the Vomtag is, we're not going to be picky on. Get back, get up a little higher, a little higher. We're not going to go all the way over the head because that changes the dynamic too much. So it is going to have to be at the shoulder, but it gets to be your Vomtag. So that will be the starting position for the defender. So that's it. This is how we're going to start. And then from there, you guys get into the manuals and really figure out all the different options that can come from this type of scenario. So we're very excited about this tournament. We think it's going to be a lot of fun. We hope you guys are enthusiastic about it and participate and really dive in and bring some history out of it. We're excited for Study in Steel and look forward to seeing all of you guys there.